new kid in town. Everybody's talking about the new kid and Eagles, baby. Come on. Come on. AOA Podcast Wednesday show, flying solo, just me and you, the way I like it. We can get intimate. We can get together. We can make eye contact, look into each other's eyes, and discuss the events of the day, which are the inconclusive evidence that Donald Trump is literally blowing this election and handing it over to the Democrats and Kamala Harris. Plus, we have a list of the least and most desirable states, cities to live in the United States of America. We just lost the great Famous Amos, who gave us a lot of cookies and calories. We'll remember the great Famous Amos on this episode. We'll talk about the not so great Rob Schneider and the whole feud going on with him and his daughter, Elle King. And the Sphere is getting a new/old movie, which sounds like it's going to be amazing. All that and more coming up on this episode. Friends, that's a podcast. You might think this is an anti-Trump podcast. It's actually not. It's just a commentary on the 2024 election, how I see it. And what I see right now is one candidate literally throwing this entire race away in the garbage. And I'm not alone. I'm going to share with you some thoughts from Frank Luntz, who is a notorious Republican and pollster and focus group guy. He made an intelligence statement today. Nikki Haley spoke today. The Daily Show put out a clip today. And from all these elements that we're going to discuss, you're going to see how Donald Trump is literally sabotaging himself for the 2024 election. It's indisputable at this point, watching the race and what's going on. I mean, when you think about it, we are living in one of the most interesting time periods ever. We're coming off of a pandemic, a global pandemic, teetering on the brink of global recession, which we haven't quite gotten to yet. We've had an assassination attempt. We've had an incumbent president step down from seeking re-election. And we've had a vice president who has been practically nowhere in the last 4 years suddenly hit the stage and flip this race upside down on its ass, all in the span of 4 years. Oh, an insurrection. I'm probably forgetting a couple of other things in there. But it's been a lot. It's been a really interesting time frame. And if we pick it up from the last couple of weeks with the assassination attempt of Donald Trump and the soaring popularity he had after that, going into the Republican convention, picking J.D. Vance and maybe not getting the boost you would expect from a VP pick, and then going into Joe Biden stepping aside and him being completely sabotaged and thrown under the bus by his own delegation, the Democrats. Interesting to see all that kind of come to fruition and come to play. And now it kind of lands us to where we are at today, and that's Donald Trump literally throwing this election away. And I'm going to lay out all the elements for you on why I feel this way. It'll take me a little while. Bear with me. Believe me, you're going to learn something. If you're a Republican, I think you're going to get more from this than the Democrats who hate Donald Trump, period, end of sentence. I want to start with a supercut of what the Daily Show actually put together. So credit to them. This is coming from the Daily Show's TikTok feed, and this is something that they played on the air. The Daily Show is so back, by the way. Jon Stewart's there. All the other people on the Daily Show, they're all doing a great job of covering the election so far. Obviously, it's a little bit more left-leaning. If that's your thing, you're going to love it. If it's not, you're not going to love it, but they're putting out great content. They're pointing out some important issues that we need to know going into the election. And they put together this supercut of Donald Trump speaking at his rallies. And what you're going to see here is an example of what I'm talking about when I say he's throwing away this election. This is just one part of it, by the way. Hang for the whole thing. Share this, by the way. Share this episode right now. Hit the share button, whether you're on Facebook or you're on Twitch or you're on YouTube. There's a share button. Click the share button. Put it on your YouTube. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on your Twitter. Tag your Republican friends. let them know what's going on, because in November, when we're watching Kamala Harris run away with this, she could be like, remember that kind of overweight, but yet still really good looking salt and pepper haired gentleman who said this was going to happen? He was right. He said it on August 14th. There it was. You can be the smartest person in the room sharing this episode amongst your friends. Put it on Facebook right now. Put it on Twitter. Put it on your Instagram stories. Put the links up right now. Let everybody see it. So here's the supercut from The Daily Show. And what you're going to hear is Donald Trump's attacks on Biden and his attacks on Kamala Harris. And let me know if you notice some similarities here.
Joe Biden is a failed president. She was a failed vice president, the worst president in the history, the worst vice president in history. He is incompetent. She's incompetent. Everything he's touched has been bad. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. He can't talk. She can't talk.
In many ways, he's worse than Bernie.
She's worse than Bernie. Low IQ. He's a low IQ individual. She happens to be really a low IQ individual. She really does. She has a very low IQ.
So there you go. That's the clip from the Daily Show there. And here's why I bring this up. He's not bringing anything new to the table. Donald Trump is not going to win this election with the playbook that he used to win the 2016 election. What he did in 2016 was extraordinary. He went from a game show host, reality TV star, to the president of the United States of America. He was crude, he was rude, he was outlandish, he was unapologetic. It was all the things that his supporters loved about him, absolutely loved about him. And it's what landed him in the Oval Office and got him past Hillary Clinton. He couldn't use that in the 2020 election, although he tried, and it didn't work. And now he's trying to use it in this election, and it's not working. And by the way, I know everybody wants to say Ant's got Trump derangement syndrome. I don't. Bite your tongue, Darren. If you listen, I'm trying to help you, not harm you. What this guy is doing is not working. I'm not alone here in thinking this. I've been saying it. You can go back to the last bunch of episodes. I've been saying it, but now I'm going to bring in other people, and I'm going to show you and cite other examples to show you that everybody else is saying the same thing. Everybody. Undisputed. Now, he can't use the same playbook. He's doing it. When he came out of the assassination attempt and he was going into the Republican convention, we all heard, we're going to get a new, softer Donald Trump. I don't need a softer Donald Trump. I don't need it. I don't know if anybody does. I think people like his toughness and his bravado, but the unity part of that was very appealing. I wanted to see it. And by all accounts, it lasted around 14 minutes or so. Because right after he got done recapping his assassination surviving the assassination attempt, he went right back into his old playbook. He can't help himself from the verbal diarrhea, and it's going to cost him the election. And I'm not the only person saying this. Supposedly, there was a meeting with him, and his staffers really got to him because the story today, and that he did a whatchamacallit rally today, and he said to everybody that he's going to have an intellectual speech. He said this at a rally today. This is going to be an intellectual speech, everybody. He said, you're all going to be intellectuals. Ironically, quite hilariously, the crowd laughed. It's rare that you get a crowd to laugh at how stupid they are, because that's kind of, he's like, hey, you're all intellectuals. And they go, ha, 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 and they all laughed. Kind of interesting, but that's what happened. And the reason why is because his campaign people, basically everybody, has pulled him aside and said, the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Because you're blowing this thing. So he spoke to everyone. And he laid out his intellectual plan. Now, he didn't get too in-depth, not as in-depth as he needs to get, but he did attempt to discuss inflation. He did attempt to, talk about bringing prices down. He talked about on his first day in the Oval Office signing an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and their authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and bring consumer prices down rapidly. I don't know exactly what that means. It's not entirely a plan. It's not a not plan. It's not entirely a plan. I got distracted here because I thought Paul was calling me a carnival barker. You're calling Donald Trump a carnival barker, right? Because I've been called a lot of things, but I've never been called a carnival barker before. But you're right, Paul. He is not. He's struggled to be a serious person in these last couple of weeks. He's really struggled to be a serious person in these last couple of weeks. He's got to get back to talking about the issues and not what he has been talking about. Many Republicans, and this is coming from several periodicals, many Republicans, mostly behind closed doors, have signaled that they feel Trump needs to focus more on articulating his policy proposals, his stances on key issues, and the like, rather than leveling personal attacks against Vice President Harris. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley publicly urged Trump on Tuesday to quit whining and focus on the issues. Haley said, quote, "The campaign is not going to win talking about crowd sizes. It's not going to win talking about what race Kamala Harris is. It's not going to win talking about whether she's dumb." And I agree. Now, Frank Luntz, again, I feel like, could I be totally honest with you? The Republicans, you need to, if this was a restaurant, you need to I would turn my iPad over and let you guys tip me because I'm trying to help you out here. You really should tip me for what I'm going to share with you here. Frank Luntz, who was on Squawk Box on CNBC earlier today, laid it all out for everybody. And I'm going to share with you the most important clips. And everybody should give me a tip for saving you from the portion of this show, this talking about that's totally stupid and useless, because there's a lot that we had to cut out for this. But I want to share with you what he said. Now, if you don't know Frank Luntz, notorious, famous guy, big time Republican, obviously, but he's also a pollster. He runs focus groups, very educated gentleman, tries to predict elections, has had some success in the past, knows what's going on, knows what the issues are. And he breaks down some of these issues. Let's start with this portion of the clip here. Again, this is Frank Luntz, courtesy of CNBC on their YouTube channel from earlier today. We appreciate them for providing such a wonderful clip. Here's Frank Luntz. This is what he has to say to lead off this discussion.
She's bringing out people who are not interested in voting for either Trump or Biden. So the entire electoral pool has changed. And if it continues in this direction, you have to start to consider Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House. The actual people who are participating, she's got intensity now. She's got an intensity advantage. She's got a demographic advantage. And I haven't seen anything like this happen in 30 days in my lifetime.
How big is that marginal extra voter that she's bringing in? I mean, how much does that change the pool?
1%, maybe 2%. That's it. But that's enough.
Right.
Can I just ask you, though, about the veracity?
So he says she's exciting a new voter, somebody who wasn't interested in voting for Trump or Biden. How many of those people were out there? Can you raise your hand on can you see my hands raised? I'll put up two hands. I'd put a foot up. I'd put a foot up if I wasn't worried about you seeing my feet and then linking me to that hot Feet Finder account that I'm running right now, pulling all the cash for. You know what I'm saying? I want to be like, oh my God, I know that foot. That would be embarrassing, keeping that stuff completely separate. But it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense. The people that were like, oh, these two old fuckers. Now all of a sudden there's a new person in the mix. What does she stand for? Who knows? Does it matter? Apparently not. Because everybody seems like they are just looking for a breath of fresh air. By the way, do you want to know the last time I saw that? you want to know the last time I saw? It doesn't really matter what this person stands for, what their past is, what their record is, what their qualifications are. I just want something new. You want to know the last time I saw that? 2016. It was Donald Trump. Hello. It was the same fucking guy she's wiping the floor with right now. We're so desperate for something new. We'll follow anything. If it's a breath of fresh air, anything. And that's exactly what she's doing. What does she stand for? Nobody fucking knows. I don't know if she knows. I don't know. I have no idea. She hasn't said shit. And as I've said on this podcast before, I wouldn't let her say shit if I was her people, because look at how much she's winning with saying nothing. Because the country is so tired of these two crusty old white men, and then here comes something new, and they're like, okay, we'll do it. What about RFK, Ant? Nope. Different kind of crusty old white man. Younger, but still crusty and old and white. So, and comes from, by the way, I mean, the Kennedys, you cannot get more establishment than the Kennedys. So that's not a thing. That's not even a thing. They're just, that's what it is. That's what you're seeing. This is the reaction from the country that you're seeing right now. Why is she so, you're a Republican. You're wondering, why is she so popular? I don't understand why people like her. Can somebody explain this to me? Here it is. She's fresh and new and different, even though she's mostly the same old. And that's what was so appealing about Donald Trump, was it not? He was fresh and new and different. Bird, Ant, have you been approached by group to do pro Kamala content yet? No, I have not. Nor will I ever take money from a political candidate. But I will tell you what is going on and what I think about it. Again, I'm not here to change your vote. I don't give a shit who you vote for. I don't fucking care. I have a vote. I have one vote. I will exercise that vote. What you do with your vote is your business. I don't give a shit. But if it's happening in the world and I can have an opinion on it and share that with you, that I'm going to do. I don't care if you like it or you don't. Go somewhere else. I don't care if you're pro Donald Trump and you're like, ooh, this guy's making a good point. Or if you're anti Donald Trump and you're like, I wish he would shut the fuck up because Donald Trump is blowing it, and let him just blow it. I'm just telling you what's going on. You know, again, I don't care if it changes your vote, fine. That's a decision you make on your own. I'm not here for that. I don't give a shit. You vote Republican, you vote Democrat. As long as you click the watch button, your old pal Ant is happy. You want to know what I want? Viewers, listeners, downloads. That's what your old pal Ant is interested in. All the rest of it, out of my hands. I don't give a shit. Vote for wherever you want. I don't care. But I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump is blowing this election. Here's what Frank Luntz has to say about the focus groups that he's putting together.
Fully counted.
But that's why my process is not just to do the numbers. It's also to do the focus groups, to listen, to understand why people feel this way. And now my groups are broken up by young women saying, I'm not voting for him anymore. Make no mistake, there are three attributes, three components.
You think it's a switch? It's not, because you just said, I'm not voting for them anymore. So you think they were voting for Donald Trump,
They were,
and now they're voting for Harris?
the people who are undecided have all collapsed towards Harris. The people who are weak Trump have all collapsed towards undecided. It's
an interesting thing. So the people that were undecided have fallen into the Harris bucket. The people that were for Trump, but not that intense about it, have now fallen into the undecided. So there's still a lot of opportunity here, right? And then, by the way, this if we've learned anything from this year, something can happen and it could change the course of this election. We've got debates coming up. We know that that's going to change the way people decide on what they want to vote. So it's not over yet, but it will be if he continues down this path. So the point of me bringing up the talk in North Carolina today and him saying I'm doing an intellectual thing, you can tell what I'm saying is true because Donald Trump made an attempt today to right the ship. he made an attempt to give a speech on the issues. He didn't do it the whole entire time. He hates doing it. By the way, he hates listening to other people. He needs to think he's the smartest person in the room. And if you're listening to somebody else, you can't be the smartest person in the room. That's why he has such a tough time. By the way, he also didn't listen to a lot of people in the room in 2016, and he won. So, give him credit for that. I mean, he did listen to Steve Bannon an awful lot, and that proved to be helpful to him. But it's not like the guy has never had success by not listening to everybody else. He's had a fair amount of success in his life being a stubborn prick from Queens. Forgive me for saying, from one stubborn prick from Queens to another. He's had some success with that sort of approach. But I don't think it's going to work this time. And by the way, it didn't work in 2020. He tried to push through his Trumpisms through that 2020 election, and people were not having it because he blundered the handling of the pandemic. You could say whatever you want. You could blame liberals and masks and Fauci and everything, but he fucked it up. He was the guy at top, period, end of sentence. And now he's doing the same thing here where people are like, don't speak off the cuff. You sound like an idiot. Keep it on the issues. She hasn't said shit. Why isn't he talking about that? And by the way, not only talking about that, but pointing out what he would do. The best way to make somebody look like is to say, they're not saying anything. Look at what I'm saying. What's Kamala's stance on inflation? Because here's mine. Here's the 5 things that I'm going to do. What's Kamala's stance on fixing the border? Because this is what I plan on doing. Oh my God, do you know how well he would be doing? Do you know how well he would be doing if he had organized thought? Here's what I plan on doing for healthcare. Donald Trump said he was going to roll out his plan for healthcare when he got to the White House. That was 8 years ago. I'm still waiting for it. Because outside of appealing the Affordable Care Act, which he talked about doing and then wind up not doing because he saw how it was going to fuck up the Republicans in the midterm, so he abandoned that. He never really got us that plan. Wouldn't it be interesting to see if he could get us a plan? And let me take this a step further. Don't listen to the 2025 people, because that's not a good idea. That is not a good idea, which clearly he is. I mean, he is more than happy to go and Scaramucci said this the other day, and I don't really much care for him. He runs in some circles out here where I live. But he said this, and I do find it to be true, but I have to give him credit because he said it first. Donald Trump is content to win, go play golf, be president on TV, and let other people do all the hard work and sit around and then pick where he could take credit for and what he could take credit for, So it's like, U.S. me doesn't seem like his heart is in it this time around. The first time around, I think he was genuinely trying. I think he's been trying. I think the establishment has been trying to help him. They're obviously putting a lot of pro-Trump people into place as far as, the election is concerned. He's got the 2025 people with, people that are they're suiting up. They're offering jobs, so that on day one of the election, they could get in there and run shit. They're doing all this work, but I don't know how much of it he's doing. And by the way, the big thing that he could be doing is shut the fuck up. Just deliver a speech based on facts. Talk about how much better it was under Trump with the economy than it's been under Biden and Harris, and back it up with facts and what you did to cause that. If you want to win, don't go and my crowd size is bigger than hers, because no. When you go to a sequel to a movie and it's the same as the first movie, people hate it. The biggest failed sequels are the ones that go, oh, people like this part of the movie, so we're going to make that. We're going to give them more of that. And all of those things flop. We've seen this before. We really have. TD says, agree, Ant. Notice that as well. He truly seems like he is ruining his campaign this time. I mean, the Elon Musk interview, I wanted to go hear what he had to say. You know, I went to go, tried to go in, couldn't hear it. Then I went back and went to the highlights, and it's like an hour and a half of just this blubbering idiocy. Now, I give him credit for going to play. He's got to go to places to get voters, right? The internet is a great place for that. He's going to those podcasts. The kid who gave him the Cybertruck, he's going to Elon. He's trying to go to different places. Smart move, not bad. Don't go there and spew the same old bullshit that people don't want to fucking hear. It's a big hype up. Trump back to Twitter. What is he going to say? Here's the same shit I said the last fucking 6 years. Why would anybody be turned on by that? You know, don't overestimate the fact that people want to be inspired. You know, people want to feel like they're winning. People want to feel like they're better off. Whatever you want to say. It's another way of saying inspired. This shit is fucking played out. And it got really played out when a new player entered the game. Am I wrong? I didn't think so.
This broad shift. I'm trying to do a focus group tonight with undecided voters under the age of 27 for a major news outlet. And I can't recruit young women to this because they don't exist as undecided voters. And you shift the demographics and you shift the entire outcome. There are issues, attributes, and the conditions of the country. The issues and conditions favor Donald Trump. He should be winning this election. But the attributes are so much in Harris's favor that he's not. That the very attributes that Trump offers, and the best example, you did the story on the UAW, why is Donald Trump saying publicly, I want to fire the same people that he's getting now, still getting union members? It's ridiculous. It's as though he's lost control. And I know that there are billionaires who watch this show who are spending a lot of money on Donald Trump, and they don't understand why he's committing political suicide.
What can he?
So he calls it political suicide. And that is an important thing. For the first time in a long time, blue collar, which Frank says people don't want to be called anymore. He can call me blue collar. I don't mind being called blue collar. Blue collar voters, union voters, union workers leaning towards Donald Trump. There's an appeal there. He's winning them. They overwhelmingly come out for Democrats. They will this time around. But if you could peel away enough in swing states, swing counties, that can make a difference. He has been winning this demographic. He goes on Twitter and says to Elon Musk, hey, good job firing all those people that wanted to go out on strike. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? You're the president of the Teamsters. Go to the Republican convention. Sure, they endorsed the Democrat. We don't expect them not to. Biden's a big time union guy. Kamala's been there right alongside of them. Unions are mostly Democrats. It's, you know, but like I said, he was peeling away enough. He goes on Twitter and tells this fucking asshole, oh, you fired all the people that went on strike. I like it. He's too busy trying to lick Elon's ass taint, and he doesn't even realize he's fucking shooting himself in the foot. The people he's gaining, he's spitting right in their face. I don't understand what's happening. It's the same thing like today. We're going to have an intellectual speak. You're all going to be intellectuals. And the crowd laughs. I've never seen a group of people so happy to be insulted in my life than people at a Trump rally. I really haven't. I think it's fucking insulting. I mean, it's crazy to me. I'm going to treat you all like happy. I'm going to treat you all like intelligent people. What the fuck? What the fuck? I mean, it's nuts. That fucking Twitter interview. I'm telling you right now, you would have found my feet dangling from I would not, if I got that for Trump and then he put in that performance, I would have left. I would have quit. Why are you talking about firing people? Why are you praising Elon Musk for union busting when we're just starting to win fucking union workers. Why would you do that? Speaking of busting, number one buster of balls, J Sabs has joined us. What's up, J Sabs?
Frank? Frank, I'm not sure how you did it, but you morphed into Anthony's body, have his voice. You look just like him. I just want to know one thing. Are you wearing Crocs?
I'm not wearing any shoes at the moment. I'm barefooties on this episode.
Oh God, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit that you said barefooties. I mean, Frank, I don't know. It's not surprising that you would say that, Frank.
You tease and you make jokes, but am I wrong, Jay Sams? Don't you think this guy is fucking throwing this thing away? You don't really pay attention to politics too much, but you know what's going on.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, take it back then.
I am not paying attention at all. You pay too much attention. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
And I don't want you to get offended. I really don't. And I want you to tell me the truth.
Can I answer the question before you ask it?
No.
Okay.
Are you into political stuff because of the podcast, or you just want to for yourself?
Or I want to torture myself?
Yeah.
No, I like knowing what's going on. I read a lot.
Of CNN.
No, I don't. I read a lot of Fox News. I read
NPR.
I read Newsmax. I read a lot. I read all sides, always.
So I have you on speakerphone, and the husband just made a face like, yeah, okay.
I know I don't seem like a person who can read, but I do read a lot. And then all the Nikki Haley stuff I mentioned earlier came from Fox. The Republicans are losing their minds. They just want this guy to talk about the issues. He had a 3-year run of fairly decent results, economically at least, up until the pandemic. Talk about that. Don't talk about how many more fucking people you had at a rally. Who gives a shit?
Well, I don't know. I don't pay much attention like you do. I guess that's it. I just don't pay. I'm just not into it. I really don't. I don't care that much. I guess that's the thing. But I never did. So.
Well, it's been frustrating. Listen, you're not alone. It's been frustrating. I talk about it on the podcast because I feel like a lot of people are in your boat, and I want to make it easily understandable, easily communicated, friendly. I don't want it to be a fucking shirt and tie on CNN discussion. I want us to be pals at a bar talking shit, And here's the other thing. Like, look at what Bird says, not RY Bird, but BIRD Bird, which I don't know how I feel about having two birds. I feel like we got a battle of the birds right here.
Right.
Look at what's going on. But Bird goes, it's only rhinos calling him out. And I want the MAGA Republicans to hear this too, because he's fucking blowing it. And I don't care if he wins or not. I really don't. I don't give a shit. Jay Sabs can tease me. I love when she calls me a liberal pussy.
No, liberal pussy number 2. You're gonna be in my phone right now. You're gonna be liberal pussy number 2.
Okay. I'm not even good enough to be the first one. That's embarrassing, but that's okay.
I don't think anyone will take Frank's liberal pussy number 1.
But I feel like I started when I was going over this with Cuddles. She goes, people are going to accuse you for being a Trump supporter after this. I don't want to be known as a supporter of anybody. I like to just call it like I see it on the day.
Supporter.
And that might change tomorrow. I know. But that's the way I feel about it. But see, I want Bird to hear this because the MAGA people, and not just the MAGA people, the liberals, same thing. These people live in a bubble. They only go to their one news source and they don't go anywhere else. I'm trying to do people a favor by saying this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This whole slide of his isn't a mistake. This is why she's winning. And now we're at the point where you'd think that initial boost of her coming into the race would have settled. It hasn't. You would think that the boost of naming a running mate would have settled. It hasn't. And it's the point where it's him. It's what he's doing. He's fucking this up royally.
I don't know. You want to get the roommate's take on this?
I would love to know what the roommate thinks. I don't think I've ever had a serious conversation with that man, which is why I love him so much.
And people think I'm the jokester, right?
No, he's hilarious. He's always been.
He's talking about you.
Oh, can he hear me? Because I get
He can hear
uncomfortable. I don't want to pay people compliments if they can hear it.
Hello.
Wow.
Whoa,
The first.
that's a debut right there. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say your full real name, fella.
Oh, you know what? He's one of those where when he uses his laptop with a camera, he puts a little sticky note over the camera so no one can see him.
So nobody can see what I'm doing.
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead, go put your mask back on. Oh wait, you're not allowed. Wait, let's see. Let's go to the comments. Is anyone the roommate lives? It's AI.
Yeah, was that a real voice or was that an AI voice? No, the roommate's real. I've seen the roommate.
You've seen him in action.
Did you hear that I'm trying to organize? Wait, we're gonna get back to Trump in a second. Did you hear that I'm trying to organize a gathering?
Oh, well, I was going to send you a screenshot. He told me, and then he said, no one answered. So then I said, oh, was Fam the one who started it? He's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, I just know. Oh.
I hope our friend knows the sacrifice I laid down.
I know, he doesn't.
Because the inevitable rejection.
I responded.
Oh,
What did he
God.
say?
He said, I responded.
He did. No, I was just gonna say your husband was great. Your brother-in-law was great, and that's it. It ends there. Your brother stinks. Your brother's awful. And our other friend was okay. He brought a little logic to the argument, to the discussion, to the planning, and that's really it.
Who was that?
There's
Which
only
friend?
one other guy left.
I don't know.
Our friend the cop.
Oh, okay. Oh, he actually responded?
Once.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you got some reply. I was hoping. I did a little prayer for you, hoping that someone did respond.
Yeah.
I said, Fam is the one who started it. He goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, dear God, it's me, Margaret. Please let someone respond to Anthony. Before he goes and slices his wrist.
No, I know. I knew it. I knew, but listen, that's what you do for friends. You give it the old college try. You try and figure it out.
I guess so. I mean, so he didn't tell me, so I'm going to ask you, was there any solution yet or no?
No.
No, of course not. And
No.
You know what? You're not going to get one. You know that, right?
No, I know. I'm well aware of it.
But you try. You really try.
I'm going to give it one more. I'm going to give it one more shot. For everybody listening, I'm trying to get friends together, which
You know what
seems to
you're
be
like?
impossible these days.
This is what you're like. You're like the girl who slept with the guy once and thinks that he's in love with her. And you're the one who texts him all the time and says, you up? And there's no response.
So the sad person is what you're saying. I'm the sad person.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. You ever see that meme of that girl who's like, she's like a crazy stalker. Like, hi, I like you. What are you doing tonight? You've seen
Yes.
her before. That's you trying to get your friends together.
Yeah. It's hard. Well,
It's just,
we're 42, 41. We all have kids 5 to 10, whatever. These are tough times.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that.
Some of us like Trump, some of us don't. That's also a problem, I think. It seems like it's become a problem. Some of us live farther away than others. That's a little bit of a problem. There's a little mix of what's going on.
No, there is. Plus, some people like each other still, and some people just don't. That's it.
I would like to think we all still like each other, but maybe not.
Oh yeah. Sure. Right.
All right, let me get back to this thing, and then you want to come back on for the cities, or am I never going to hear from you again?
What is it?
It's okay. You can take the night. You got a roommate thing. Why don't you work up that roommate of yours? See if he can throw something in to clinch the plans.
You trying to tell me to take one for the team?
Well, I'm saying, what can he do? What could a text from the roommate do to light up that chat and get things moving in the right direction?
Well, he hasn't thrown any political comments into the chat, has he? Because you know how he likes to say, "Oh my," you know.
Wait, now I just got a text from him. Is that him or you saying, "I guess we're not going"?
Oh, I don't know. Not me. I don't have his phone.
All right, so that's him. He's trying. He's trying too. We're all trying to rally.
Let's see.
I think we're going to do it. I think the last plan is something that is possible.
Are you allowed to say what the last plan is?
No, I'd rather not say.
Okay. Well,
I'd rather. That's why I don't even want to be talking about this, because I know that well, you know why. I think you know why. You could figure it out.
Oh yeah.
It has nothing to do with the AOA holes. It has everything to do with
another a-hole. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Another large gaping a-hole.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's not cause more problems.
Okay. I get it. No, I get it. But yeah. See, he did that for you just now. You know that, right?
I know it. I feel the love. I've always loved your husband. It's unwavering.
You think he's funny?
Well, yeah, because he goes, "I guess we're not going," and then put a cricket emoji. Come on, that's hilarious. Like, the guy, he knows how to be funny all the time. That's why I love your brother-in-law too. They have the same sense of humor. Your husband's is a bit more dry, which I like.
Okay. No comment.
All right, Jay Sabs, let me go finish this, or else I'm never going to get out of here today.
Okay, Frank. I'll see where I have to clean.
Okay.
Or I get in trouble. You know.
Yeah. Get back in that kitchen, trad wife.
See.
Come back Friday though. We'll see if we can update whether or not friends could put together a gathering, a hang.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
All
right. Bye.
Bird says, "I think Aunt wants to steal your roommate, Jay Sams." Yeah, I don't think that's ever been we've never hid that fact. That's never been a hidden fact. Very big fan of Jay Sab's roommate. Very, very big fan. Would I sleep with him? Yeah. Would I have to be drunk? I would pretend. I'd pretend I was drunk, but I wouldn't have to be, if we're going to be honest with each other. Anyway, always great hearing from Jay Sabs, one of my favorite people on the planet. Where were we? Oh, Frank Luntz. Okay. So we're talking about Trump blowing it, and let me play this clip here. Here is the number one issue. Again, this is according to Frank Luntz. I can't stress enough, because where's Bird? I love Bird. We need comments like Bird. Mainstream media, Inc., Fox, it's all biased. And I know it is. But when you read everything from everybody, it helps you form an opinion, right? And here's the other thing, too. When I read about something that Trump said or Biden said or Harris now or whoever, I just go to what it is, which is, I feel like, another big thing that not a lot of people have the patience to do or the time, right? They just don't have the time. Like Jay Subs was just saying, it's frustrating. I understand that. I get it. I like to go there and get that information from the horse's mouth, and then I could talk about it. And I don't have a problem doing that. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bird, but this is how I feel great about calling it like I see it, because I don't get it from just everybody or just one side. I can hear what Donald Trump has to say and break it down for myself. And I've been watching this guy for the last 2 or 3 weeks totally blow this election. And this Frank Luntz, by the way, guy makes some millions of dollars. Not as a fluke, not because he's an asshole, because he's a very talented guy. He's a great pollster. He knows how to do the focus groups. He knows it. This is what he has to say about the number one issue in this election.
She's talking about the number one issue facing the country, and Donald Trump is talking about crowd size. What the hell, Andrew?
I'm
reiterating what I said just not too long ago. He cannot get over this thing. And this goes back to what I said last episode. Donald Trump was a Democrat all his life. He grew up around the New York elites, the Democrats, the liberals there. He's still a liberal guy, by the way. And that's his mommy and daddy. He wants their attention, right? I mean, you've seen this. You grew up around a group of kids. The younger kids always look up to the older kids, right? And sometimes you see 47-year-olds hanging out with those 57-year-olds, and they're still seeking their approval. That's Donald Trump. He needs the mainstream media's approval. Nothing would make Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the envy of millions of people, 80 million people. If one CNN anchor, if one New York Times writer were to give him a credit for anything, were to say, you're right, Donald Trump, were to vote for him, if you will, that would mean more to him than the 80 million people that support him every single day. It's because he can't have that. And that's what he keeps going for. The reason why he keeps talking about crowd size, he just wants that mainstream liberal media to say, you're right. He almost knows it's not going to happen, but he can't help himself from continuing to fight that battle. Squawk Box asking about swing states, and Frank Luntz brings up an interesting point, which our own Frankie C.
States to you are in play. I mean, what are the true swing states at this point?
It's the same ones that we know of: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah, but then you're saying maybe Florida something happens here. No,
no. All Trump needs to do is to win one of those states. He's now talking about the election being stolen. This is a line from Governor Chris Sununu. You can't steal what you've given away. He is actually giving away this election, and we will look back on today, and I will post this and say, you've been warned.
What do your Republican friends say when you say this?
They tell me yell louder. They tell me this, I can't stand up because I'll fall over. They tell me to stand up, scream on shows like this, wake the hell up to the president, former president, because this could be a sweep in November if he doesn't.
Boom. How's about that? Again, that's Frank Luntz. That is a Republican. The man is blowing it big time. He's blowing it big time. All right, that's all I got to say about that. I said it. I did all the things. Sorry. And he's right. And he should be annoyed. And Republicans everywhere should be annoyed if they want their candidate in it. Again, I thought she was crazy for not picking Josh Shapiro. And then you start to look at the numbers and you go, forget relying on Pennsylvania. She might be able to take Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all the swing states he just said. She might have that in the bag. There's still a long way to go. Everything I just said is true. He's blowing it. It's not going in the right direction for him. There's still a long way to go till November. I mean, look at how many ups and downs we've seen already in this campaign, and there's going to be more to come for sure. I love polls. Political polls can be off, but I love polls about what people think and how they feel about cities and foods and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we have here. Clever is an app that did a poll recently looking for the best and worst places to live in the United States of America. I always like doing these things. We got a great audience, lives all over the world, actually. And some of these things might really surprise you, you know? So what makes a place desirable or undesirable to live? Low crime rates, living and housing costs, good weather, low taxes, lots of amenities and things to do, obviously are pretty important. High cost of living, negatives, high taxes, rundown infrastructure, bad weather, pollution are the bad things. You guys want to do the most desirable or the least desirable first? Let's do the least desirable first. I'm surprised by this list a little bit. A couple things on here. The 10th most least desirable city in the United States of America, Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is a dreary ass place. It is fucking cold and snowy there almost all the time. Atlanta comes in at number 9, Birmingham, Alabama at 8, Baltimore at 7. I feel like Baltimore's on an upswing because that town could be beautiful. Like the Inner Harbor area is gorgeous, but everything outside of it is a shithole. I tell the story from time to time, but Cuddles and I went there once for like a weekend, and we went to this barbecue place that was behind like a pawn shop and a strip joint. I mean, I was excited as soon as I saw the pawn shop and the strip joint because I'm like, if people are coming here for food, you know it's good. If people are risking their lives, like there were gates on the windows, and it was the ghetto of the ghetto, and it was good. It was good barbecue, man. That's some good fucking barbecue. You got to risk your life for good food. You know, you go to some of these hoity-toity places, there's no effort to get there, but you think I better make sure. I better make sure I got a knife with me just in case. Then you know you're in for some good ribs. Los Angeles, California is at number 6. Detroit at number 5, another city that I feel like is starting to actually come back. Chicago at number 4, which is amazing because I found Chicago gorgeous. I know all the stories about the crime there. I know that they have really bad areas, but that city was beautiful, clean, gorgeous. Like when you go to New York, and I live in New York all my life, like the city is clean now compared to what it was, but it's always a shithole, you know? And it's like, you can go to nice parts of the city, but there's shitty parts of the city, shitty parts of the boroughs. You know, you got to get out to Long Island, to New Jersey to get really nice areas. Chicago felt like there was not a bad area in that city. I know in the surrounding areas, they could be pretty bad. San Francisco at number 3. I would imagine that's all cost of living. Number 2, least desirable city to live in the United States of America. It's where I live. New York, New York. Nobody wants to live here. Number 2. I feel, though, that's kind of what makes us great, is how tough and shitty it is to live here. Because it's true. Old Blue Eyes sang about it. You can make it here. You can make it anywhere. That's kind of very true. The number 1 least desirable city to live in the United States of America right now, Washington, D.C. The second year in a row it has been bestowed this wonderful honor. Americans already politically fatigued during an election year. The distaste for D.C. is higher than ever. 33% of Americans say it's one of the top 5 worst cities in the U.S., up 20% from the same who said that in 2023. Politics aside, D.C. is one of the most expensive cities in the country to live in. But 65% of Americans saying high cost of living makes a place undesirable. The cost of housing is a big contributing factor to the cost of living. And I will say there's a lot to do in D.C., not as much as New York and L.A. and San Fran and Chicago. But there's a good, you got a theater area, you got comedy clubs, you got sports in D.C. Most desirable cities to live in. The most desirable. You ready for this list? Number 10, Miami, Florida. Let me look at this list for a second here. Okay, I can honestly tell you with one solid maybe, there are all other 9 cities I would like to live in. I would prefer to live in. That's for sure. All right, hold on. I gotta go back to Bird here because I feel like Bird is new. I feel like this is a new Bird. Again, I don't want to make old Bird feel. I don't want to even say old Bird. Let's say original Bird. Old Bird sounds bad. Let's say original Bird and new Bird. I feel like new Bird is new to the podcast. Bird says, "Ann, I'm from the UK and I see myself with a unique perspective. I have no skin in the game either way. There is a system at play that you don't even acknowledge or see. It goes beyond parties." No, I know what you're talking about. I get it. Establishment, secret government, like whatever the fuck you want to call it. No, I'm well aware of it. I mean, it's not that deep state. It's not that complicated. It's money, it's influence, it's lobbyists. It's not. There's no mystery. That's why I don't love deep state. It's not deep state. It's corporations and lobbyists. It's wealthy people trying to make more money, push their agendas. It's not complicated. It's really not complicated. Anyway, back to the most desirable cities. Number 10, Miami. I would live there. Number 9, Las Vegas. I still kind of want to definitely live there. Vegas seems, now that Vegas has a hockey team, the day that they announced Vegas had a hockey team, I looked at my wife and I was like, now more than ever, you might lose me to that city. I mean, there was always a threat. When I married my wife, I said, there's always a chance I might leave you and just go to Vegas. I want you to know that. She goes, what about death do us part? I go, I mean it until I can't take it anymore. And then I might just move to Vegas. I said, if I ever vanish, just go to Vegas. If you want to find me, it'll be Vegas. And the day they put a hockey team there, I was like, now you're really in trouble. Now this marriage is really on the rocks. She's like, why? We don't fight or anything. I go, I know, but you're not in Vegas. You're not in Vegas. Denver, Colorado, number 8. Beautiful town. A lot of potheads in Denver. Dave Matthews is very popular there. I roll right into Denver tomorrow. Nobody knows the difference. They'll be like, you must have lived here your whole life. Number 7, Atlanta, Georgia. That's my maybe because I've never been anywhere near Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta also couldn't support a hockey team. Don't love that. And I'm a Mets fan and I hate the Atlanta Braves. So I have a very negative outlook at Atlanta. That I don't have for no good reason. I just don't have a good feeling for Atlanta. Look at this. Bird lives 45 minutes from Denver. See? It's probably nice where you are. I mean, relatively speaking, it's probably nicer than where I live. And I bet you there's a lot of Dave Matthews fans. And I bet you weed is like not that big of a deal. It's everywhere. I have to tell you, I have been smelling weed more. There was a time 5 or 6 years ago, 8 years ago in the city when I was like, I'm smelling weed a lot more in the city than I ever have before. It was very commonplace. I'm saying that about where I live out on Long Island, close to the Hamptons. Oh my God, you live in Colorado Springs? Colorado Springs is undoubtedly nicer than Denver. Like everybody goes, I want to be close to Denver, but live in a nicer place. They move to Colorado Springs. So you live in like the nicest fucking place ever. That's ridiculous, Bird. I'm actually a little angry at you. Raleigh, North Carolina is number 6. I love Raleigh. Number 5 is Orlando. I love Orlando. I love obviously the theme parks. You got Disney, you got Universal, but there's a lot of other great, Busch Gardens and the Seal place. What is that? SeaWorld. I do have a friend that lives in Orlando, and I think it's better now, but I had a friend who lives in Orlando and goes, I love Orlando. The thing I hate about it, it's the fucking chain capital of the world. Like we have so many restaurants, but you can't find a fucking mom and pop place that makes good ziti. And I'm like, shit, I feel for you. It's the truth. Every fucking major chain is there because every shitty family comes from all the shitty places they live in the United States and they want something familiar and they go to, that shit. They go to fucking Golden Corral and shit like that. But I think it's a little bit better in Orlando nowadays than it was. That was like, we're talking about like 10 years ago. Winter Garden, I hear, is gorgeous down there near Orlando. Nashville, Tennessee is number 4. Virginia Beach is number 3. I thought Virginia Beach was gorgeous. took Huddles there for her 40th birthday. Little surprise weekend getaway right on the beach. It was really nice. Wasn't as nice as some of the other beachside places we've stayed in, but it was cool. I'll never forget this too. The Uber driver picked us up and we were talking about Virginia Beach and how excited we were. And he goes, "Let me ask you a question." Well, yeah. He goes, "Is it true you have to pay to get on the beach in New York?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's weird." And in that moment, it dawned on me, like, I guess that's not a common thing. Growing up in New York, you had to have a badge, a permit, whatever. You always paid for something. New York, New Jersey, you go on a beach, there's hours, there's somebody there making sure you have the right thing to get in. You got to pay. You don't just walk to the beach. In Virginia, they just go to the beach. Anybody wants to go to the beach, you go to the beach. Done. No pay, no nothing. It's interesting. It's not the way we grew up here in New York. Charlotte, North Carolina is number 2, and the number 1 most desirable city to live in, Tampa, Florida. How about that? Think about it. Gorgeous weather, no sales tax, lots to do, boating, kayaking, hiking. They've got sports teams, hockey, baseball, football. They don't have basketball. You're close to Orlando. Close enough to go to a Magic game at least. Just gorgeous area to live in. Fucking Tampa. Most desirable city. That list courtesy of Clever, the company who put that together based off of a survey. Rest in peace. I'm tied up against it. I wanted to spend more time on Famous Amos, but we lost the great Famous Amos. One of the men partially responsible for my large waist size. Love Famous Amos cookies. The first cookie shop ever. I mean, think about how crazy it was and where the world was at. He was 88 years old when he decided to open up Famous Amos on Sunset Boulevard in 1975. You know, you're going to open up a restaurant? No. A bakery? No. You going to make a cake? No. What are you making? Cookies. Just cookies. Just cookies. That's it? Yep. Just cookies. And that's it. He started the, I mean, when you think about Crumble and all these, Chip City, all these big cookie craze places right now, all that shit started with Famous Amos. And who didn't go and grab a package of those hard Famous Amos little cookies after school on the way home at the candy store, right? That shit was the best. The best. Love Famous Amos. Famous Amos, by the way, too, one of the greatest cameos on The Office ever. If you've not seen it, go watch it. It is perfection. It's absolute perfection. Rob Schneider has been fighting with his daughter, Elle King, for quite a while. I have a special affinity for Elle King. She is one of the few artists that I had the honor of breaking, meaning I was one of the first people to play her songs. I don't want to take full credit for it because at the station that I worked at, it was not my decision to pick music. But her track was picked, loved her, played her a lot. Then she started getting onto HBO, promos and all that kind of stuff. X's and O's is her big song. If you've not heard it, she's great. She showed up drunk at the Golden. See that Golden Corral in my mind at the Grand Ole Opry. I think it was the Grand Ole Opry. She was drunk. And she was drunk somewhere. I was talking shit. She had to leave the stage because she was all fucked up. Who doesn't love that in their rock stars? Anyway, I think Elle King is an amazing, accomplished singer-songwriter. She's great to see. And her dad is Rob Schneider. And Rob Schneider, notoriously, kind of a piece of shit. And she's been doing podcasts, been doing the rounds, and been talking about how awful her father is. Her father goes on, who else but Tucker Carlson, our old pal. And it's his lead question. He starts asking about the Elle King thing, and this is what Rob Schneider had to say.
I hate to start with this, but I read what looked like a family tragedy playing out in the news. Your daughter going after you.
It's fun being a parent, isn't it?
It can be hard. What was that?
Well, I want to just tell my daughter, Elle, I love you, and I wish I was the father in my 20s that you needed, and clearly I wasn't, and I hope you can forgive me for my shortcomings. I love you completely. I love you entirely, and I just want you to be well and happy with you and your beautiful baby, Lucky. I wish you the best. I feel terrible, and I just want you to know that I don't take anything you say personally.
So when your daughter attacks you in public, how hard is it not to, you didn't make any excuses or blame her or attack back? How hard is that?
If you love somebody completely, I love her. And all I want for her is to be happy and to heal from this.
So a couple things here before I lay into Rob Schneider. Tucker Carlson is such a bad interviewer. He's good at being Tucker Carlson. I don't want to take away from him. I personally don't love him. He's not my cup of tea. In fact, I really don't like him. Not because he's a Republican, though. I just don't like him. But he's such a bad interviewer. What kind of a fucking follow-up question is that? You get attacked by your daughter and you don't attack back. How hard is that? Is this the world that you live in, Tucker, where it's all about attacks? And like, can you be a fucking human being for 2.5 seconds and just ask a decent follow-up question? Well, when was the last time you spoke with her? Have you tried to speak with her? What was the thing that you just said that you weren't a great dad in the 20s? What was that? Why? Because you were chasing stardom? Is that what it was? Like, be a fucking interviewer, you piece of shit. Is it hard not to attack her back? You're a father. Why would you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a father. Be a father. No father wants to sling shit back at his daughter. Who would want to do that? You fucking idiot. The whole world is not a political debate, you big-headed asshole. And anyway, if Rob Schneider really loves his daughter, then pick up the fucking phone. Make amends. Parents and children fight all the time. It's very tragic. Believe me. I have it close to me, not me personally. I still talk to my parents, unfortunately for them. They've told me, can you please stop calling here? We're trying to live our lives in Florida. But I know how gut-wrenching it could be. And I can't help but think, and maybe I'll change my mind on this, but I can't help but think the onus falls on the parent, as it always does. Being a parent is putting yourself second behind somebody else. Why would that be different once you get into a fight with somebody? Even when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, and parents are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, that nothing changes. You still have to be the more mature one because you're the one who's been going through it longer. As a parent, you got to be the one who goes, I have to, even though I'm fighting with this person, I have to show them once again the right way to behave. Right? I got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, right? 7 and 9 actually now. And everything I do is showing them how to behave when they get older. Why would that change when they're 30, 35, and I'm 70, whatever? Why would that change? You still have to do the same thing. You still have to sacrifice. You still have to say, no, I have to be the bigger person here. Even though my child is wrong and what they're doing is bad, and I don't agree with them and we're fighting and I think I'm right, the parent still has to be the one to be like, I'm going to show you, even though we're in this together fighting, I'm going to show you what it's like. Because, he just said she's got a beautiful baby. You don't want her to do the same thing with that baby when that baby grows up. You want her to be the one to be like, okay, I'm going to make the sacrifice here. I'm going to be the one who comes forward and tries to make this right, smooth this over. And also, she's got a baby. Don't you want to be in that baby's life? Don't you want to be grandpa? It's tough for performers, man, because they chase it for so fucking... And Rob Schneider is that guy. He could never be it, man. I know he had a couple of films that he carried. What was the one where he acted like an animal or something? But he was always the one-line guy in the Adam Sandler films. Believe me, I know. I had him at one of the theaters over here. We produced his show. We presented his show. It was a tough sell. But he's got good, funny material. He is a funny guy. Kind of an asshole. And anybody to carry this, listen, as soon as this starts, you pick up the phone and you go, listen, let's talk. I know you hate me. I know it's unforgivable, but I'm here and I want to talk it out. When you're ready, and then you make that same call every week, every month, every day, whatever it takes, You can't change the past, but you can change the future. All right, it's getting a little too philosophical for me. But anyway, that whole let me talk to camera and talk to my daughter now over camera on fucking Tucker Carlson's show is not the way to do it. That's the opposite way. You're basically illustrating her point that you're a fucking asshole. You know, if he asks you about that, you go, it's a tough situation, Tucker. It's something that I hope to fix with my daughter off the air. Done. End of story. This last thing I'm very excited about. We have to talk about this. Again, we were talking about Vegas and how it's one of the most desirable cities to live in the U.S. The Sphere is so interesting and intriguing to me. The U2 residency, Dead and Company's over there, Fish doing shows. The NHL held their draft there. When they're not doing these huge events, because it's not easy to produce an event there, they have a 16K screen that goes over the whole thing. Huge space, 16,000 seats, 17,000 seats, whatever it is. Huge space. When they're not doing major events, they do tours, and then they show a film. I think it's a Darren Aronofsky film, like one of those nature films. You know, so it looks impressive as shit to see on that huge screen, but it's not probably terribly interesting. So the Sphere is like we got to figure out a way to make. By the way, it's $94 just to see the movie. If you want to go see the movie, it's $94 for a ticket. That's a lot of money, but it's an experience you can't get anywhere else. Where can you sit in a theater like that and be fully immersed? So they're getting it. They're making the money, but they're thinking to themselves, you know, this is going to run it. Once you see that once, that's it. You want to try and get somebody to come back again and there's not a major event there, you're going to run into a problem. So they're trying to adapt material and figure out material that they can show in there so that they can get more dates in there. Because that's hugely important. That was like a $2 billion construction expense just to get that thing off the ground. $2.3 billion just to make that building. You got to start making that coin back. They're going to spend the Sphere, or Sphere, I should say. Sphere is going to spend $80 million trying to adapt The Wizard of Oz to be able to fit the screen over there. That huge, massive screen they have at Sphere. Isn't that unbelievable? They're in talks right now with Warner Brothers. It's a 1939 film we're talking about here. And they want to be able to put it and present it in a way where it'll be on that huge 16K screen with the massive sound coming at you. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Oh, fucked up. Go in there and fucking imagine what fucking Toto would look like. I mean, shit. That would be unreal. That would be unreal. The Wizard of Oz. What I would love, this is just me personally, put on the Wizard of Oz, but you play fucking Dark Side of the Moon. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Let me drop the mic because that's the fucking move. Dark Side of the Moon. Watch the thing. Some fucking winks and a beer. See Lindarella. See, look, boom. Sync it up to Dark Side of the Moon. Now you're talking. Guess who's coming back? All those dead heads and fish heads all of a sudden showing up again, being like, hey, we're back. We heard a rumor, you know. I mean, I guess you could do it on your own. You can go see it, put in some headphones and sync it up yourself, I guess. But yeah, $80 million. I mean, it's not just the whole technical aspect of it to process it and get it up there and make it work and work well. You also got to get the rights from Warner Brothers, you know, which they say, according to Consequence of Sound, or Consequence Film, I should say, they're saying that Warner Brothers is looking to strike a deal and pull in 5% of the gross profit. That's what they're looking at, is trying to get 5% of the gross profit. I mean, that's worth it. I mean, we just watched Wizard of Oz recently because my daughter's like all into it. But outside of, you know, a little girl wanting to watch it and the family acquiescing, who's really, how are you making money off of the Wizard of Oz these days? This seems like the quickest way possible. And if they do it, which I think it's a right move because they got to get dates in there, what movie should they do next? Let me know in the comments. What movie would you like to see in Sphere after Wizard of Oz, because I can think of a bunch that would be absolutely unreal. I mean, I got a couple in my mind right now that I would love to just spurt out, but I'm teasing it. We could pick it up on the next episode. Let me know in the comments below. What movie would you like to see shown in Sphere next over there in Las Vegas? I want to thank BIRD Bird for all the contributions. Appreciate the chatter. I feel like sometimes some people, new people may not get it, think we're picking on them, but it was good conversation. So I appreciate Bird for all the comments there. Lindarella, Paul, of course, Matt, Raven, Robin, Miss Justice, Alice, oh my goodness, Mercury, Oceani in it from the start tonight on this episode. Mark, I can't pop Mountaintops. I can try and shout everybody out, but I don't think we have enough time to go through the whole entire list. Appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for the shares. Make sure you hit the share button now too. It's also important. Make sure you drop a comment on the episode too. Don't put it in the live chat. Put it in a comment. What movie do you want to see next? I want to see that. I'm going to read all the comments once the show comes to an end. And we're back on Friday. Frankie C's here. Hopefully Jay Sabs with an update for us. And hopefully we'll have Aaron C with a game.
Show me potato salad.
Wouldn't that be nice? I'll see you guys. Enjoy your Thursday.
Maybe we should go now. Go ahead.